Oh, no, no, no. I know. Did they pick the scene where they were in the car? Because that shit is hilarious. Okay. Hey, I'm Carla Renata, the Curvy Film Critic.
I'm Jazz Tangcay, Senior Artisans Editor at Variety.
I'm Alonso Duralde. I'm a film critic, and today we're talking about the Oscars.
Today on Critical Thinking, we're taking a look back in the past to some wonderful Best Picture winners. And we're going to look at the Best Picture nominees for 2025.
This weekend is the 97th Academy Awards, so let's take a look at some of the Best Picture nominees.
And the nominees are I'm Still Here, Anora, The Brutalist, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Nickel Boys, The Substance, Wicked, A Complete Unknown, Emilia Perez.
But before we do a deep dive into those titles, let's take a look back into the past.
Do you know what? Those are brilliant films. I do not disagree with the top 5 at all. I mean, Parasite, when that won, oh my God, what a year. It deserves to be at number 1.
All About Eve should be number 1 on the Rotten Tomato meter, but I can live with number 3. That's a good number.
I mean, that's a pretty unassailable top 5. Those were all movies. If I didn't put them in my list of favorites, they were all contenders.
I think Parasite is probably number 1 because it's more current in the brain and on the mind. But Casablanca is an excellent film.
Casablanca is a classic. I know there are so many people that have not seen this film. You cannot call yourself a film buff if you have not seen Casablanca. A Moonlight, Barry Jenkins, Mahershala Ali, what a combo. Deservedly won Best Picture that year.
I don't think you can turn your nose up at any of these. Believe me, as we get lower on the list, there's some questionable choices from the Academy, but this top 5, solid work.
My 5 favorite winners from the past 96 years range in genre. Kramer versus Kramer is an interesting one. This is a film that I started watching when I was really young, like probably 7 to be honest. As a child of a single parent, I think the themes of divorce and being raised by a single parent probably resonated with me. One of my favorite scenes is Dustin Hoffman as Ted. It is the morning after or shortly after his wife Joanne has left him, and she's played by Meryl Streep, who goes on to win the Oscar for Best Supporting Actress. And he's sitting down with his kid, Billy, and he's explaining why his mother's not there, but he's making French toast in the worst possible way, dunking the bread in milk in a mug, and it is such a beautiful scene.
We fold it. That's what we do. We fold the French toast.
I think you forgot the milk.
I didn't. Milk comes last. You always got to put the milk in last. When you're having a good time, you forget the most important thing, right? I just want to see if you were paying attention. It's been a long time since I made this. That's fun, isn't it? When's the last time Mommy let you in the kitchen?
I don't like it when it's in pieces.
Look, French toast tastes the same whether it's in pieces or whether it's whole. I mean, bread is bread, you know?
You see this bond develop between Ted and his son, Billy, and I just love that film. I watch it at least once a year. Meryl is fantastic, and I think that's actually where my love for Meryl Streep began and continues to this day.
You got some shell in there.
It's all right. Makes it crunchier that way. You like your French toast crunchy, don't you?
Here are my top 5 Best Picture winners. When people talk about they don't make movies like that anymore, top of my list for that kind of movie is All About Eve. This is a witty, urbane, backstabbing, backstage Broadway comedy drama. It's about women in show business, kind of, understanding the competition and the focus on their age. Really, I don't think we get to the substance if we don't get to All About Eve first. Featuring an all-timer performance from Bette Davis as legendary stage actress Margot Channing, who has to face off competition from a very seemingly well-meaning, seemingly adoring fan named Eve Harrington, played by Ann Baxter, who has an agenda of her own. This movie is just eminently quotable. It's really funny. It's really moving. It's got some great love stories in it. And it's just beautifully bitchy.
She's quite a girl, this what's-her-name.
Eve. I'd forgotten they grew that way.
So what's cool about All About Eve is that it's about an actress, and you almost never see her acting in the traditional sense. You never see Margot Channing on stage on Broadway doing the performance that makes her, famous. But she incorporates acting into her daily life all the time. And my favorite part is where she shows up to do an audition, and of course she's there rather late, and the audition is carried on without her, with Eve playing the role that Margot has been playing on Broadway every night, and Margot finding out that Eve is her understudy, and also finding out that apparently Eve's performance in this audition is blowing everyone away.
Miss Channing, I can't tell you how glad I am that you arrived so late.
Really, Eve? Why?
If you'd been here to begin with, I never would have dared to read at all.
Why not?
If you'd come in the middle, I would have stopped. I couldn't have gone on.
What a pity. All that fire and music being turned on.
What fire and music?
You wouldn't understand. How was Miss Caswell?
Back to the Copacabana. But Eve, Margot, let me tell you about Eve.
I was dreadful, Miss Channing. Believe me, I have no right to be anyone's understudy, much less yours.
I'm sure you underestimate yourself, Eve. You always do. You were about to tell me about Eve.
This is a big wound to Margot's ego, and she's furious about it. But she comes sweeping in, pretending like she doesn't know anything. When's the audition start? I'm here to read with Miss Caswell. And so you get to watch Bette Davis acting at acting. And it's just so yummy.
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
My all-time favorite Best Picture in 96 years is All About Eve. I'm a theater doll, so of course I would love All About Eve. The moment where Bette Davis's character shows up at the theater thinking that she's going to rehearse with Miss Caswell for an audition, right?
Hold up.
Ha!
Alonso chose the same scene.
Stop it! Because that scene is fire. Okay, let me think about another scene. Oh, no. I know. Did they pick the scene where they were in the car? Because that shit is hilarious. Okay. One of my all-time favorite scenes in All About Eve is when Bette Davis's character and her best friend are in the car and the car stops because they've run out of gas. What Betty doesn't know is that her best friend purposefully siphoned the gas out of the car so that they would get stuck so that Eve could go on pure comedy.
Margot, I want you to know how sorry I am about this.
About what?
This. I can't tell you how sorry I am.
Don't give it a thought. One of Destiny's merry pranks. After all, you didn't personally drain the gasoline tank yourself.
That film, it has drama, it has intrigue, it has comedy, it has everything that a really well-crafted screenplay and film should have to be a contender for Best Picture. It's my all-time favorite, and it'll be yours too if you watch it. Let's jump back into this year's movies, the 2025 Best Picture nominees.
I'm Still Here is great, and I would not be sad at all to see it win Best Picture. I suspect that this is one of those deals where, the fact that it got into the final 10 is, it's an honor to be nominated. With the exception of Parasite, obviously foreign films have a tough time in this category.
That film is so great. And what's so interesting is a few critics saw it and were behind it, and then Fernando Torres won the Golden Globes, and all of a sudden it's on everybody's radar. People think there's a world where it could win.
I just adore Nickel Boys.
Gotta go it alone.
I'm kind of thrilled that they nominated The Substance. Horror movies generally don't play well with this group.
I love The Substance, not only because it's just a really great crafted film, but Demi Moore's performance in it is fire. And the subject matter is fire because it proves to you that age, when it comes to talent, doesn't have an expiration date.
Substance is 89. I think that should be a little bit higher, and Wicked, just because I think The Substance, the more you sit with The Substance, the better that film becomes, especially when you see clips of it. Demi Moore is phenomenal in this film.
What I really loved about The Brutalist is I got to learn about someone I didn't know before. Laszlo Toth is this prolific architect that came to America to make a way for himself in the land of the free. And I love Adrian Brody and Guy Pearce in this film. The two of them together are just wonderful.
On a preferential ballot, who knows what's going to happen?
Oh, I wish film critics had that kind of power as a member of two voting film critic organizations.
The great thing is, like Parasite, for example, has a 99% rating. That means the critics love it. The critics will be pushing it, whether they do interviews, they'll post about it frequently. If they love a film, critics really push that film. And then the guilds take notice, the Academy take notice, and it won.
I don't think that critical response necessarily reflects itself into what the Academy is doing because, critics are critics, and we probably see more movies than a lot of the Academy members, let's be real. But the Academy is film professionals. And the thing to remember about the Oscars is that it's about the industry rewarding itself, and it's about the industry rewarding their idea of what they think the industry should be. And so I think that's what you kind of got to look for a lot of times when you're trying to figure out the Academy's choices. What makes people who make movies feel better about movies?
You never know how the Academy voters are going to vote. They are a special breed, and they vote very differently than any of the other awards. They vote different than Critics' Choice. They vote different than Golden Globes. They vote different than SAG. They vote different than BAFTA. They vote different than any other award show that you're going to see during the season. So it's always a surprise.
There's something to be said about looking at the guilds, about, different membership groups, because there's a lot of overlap. There are a lot of writers in the Writers Guild who are also Academy members. There are a lot of directors in the Directors Guild who are also Academy members. And we can assume that whatever they vote for in one, they're going to vote for in the other one.
This year, the way the awards are kind of being doled out is kind of all over the place. There's no clear-cut path to any one person winning.
I think we really didn't get a clear sense of who or what was winning until we got to the weekend of the Producers Guild and the Directors Guild. Otherwise, it was like, well, maybe The Brutalist is going to win, or maybe Conclave wins, or, and so many predictions, or a lot of pundits did not have Anora at the top. We all got lost in the noise. And then, to get a clear indication, we had to look at what the Producers Guild was going to pick, maybe what the Directors Guild was going to pick. Lo and behold, it was Anora. Who do I think is going to win? I mean, at this point in the race, you have to go with the Producers Guild. You'd be silly not to go for Anora. So Anora will probably win Best Picture.
Especially based on the most recent sort of sweep of the Guild Awards. I'm thinking Anora is going to take Best Picture.
Sean Baker, too, could get Best Director.
Sean Baker is always great about making you relate to characters that you wouldn't think you would be rooting for or caring about. He's great about going deep into communities that he's not a part of, but has obviously done the research and talked to the people involved with the movie that are from those communities.
Look out for The Brutalist, though, or even Conclave, because Conclave just won at BAFTA.
Conclave, to me, has all the ingredients of a Best Picture. It has beautiful cinematography. It has fantabulous production design and costume design, and and that cast, it is like an A+ cast where everybody is bringing their A game. I do a list every year when the Oscars roll around, and I always say who's going to win and who should win. In this case, I feel like who's going to win is going to be Conclave. Who should win, in my humble opinion, is Wicked.
My choice for the best of these 10 films, Honora.
The film that I want to win was not nominated this year. It was Nosferatu. I love Nosferatu. I thought it was so well done. It was beautifully shot by Jaron Blaschke, who was nominated for a cinematography award. Look out for him. If he wins, that would be such an incredible feat for the film. I actually love all 10 of the nominated pictures this year. I love Wicked. If you know me very well, you'll know how much I love this film.
I think it is a crime that John M. Chu was not nominated as director, but we've seen this before. That would be the upset of the night if Wicked won. I would love that so very much. I really would. But yeah, I think it's going to be Conclave's take home, though.
There are some great films. The Substance is brilliant. Conclave, The Brutalist, I'm Still Here, A Complete Unknown. They're all great.
I think the perfect recipe to make a movie an Oscar movie is it has to fire on all cylinders. It has to have great production, sound, costume design. It has to have a cast that is absolutely stellar. And the cast cannot be stellar if that screenplay and that direction is not on point.
An Oscar-winning movie can be great. An Oscar-winning movie can be crap. And, you know, it ultimately winds up coming down to the individual viewer, what works for them and what they think matters. What I think the Oscars does that's important is that it does raise the visibility level of so many movies. I mean, if you live in a small town that isn't going to get, you know, I'm Still Here, but you have a local AMC or Regal or other theater chain that screens all of the Best Picture nominees, then you're going to have at least one shot of seeing I'm Still Here.
It's just an all-around well-crafted smorgasbord of yummy goodness on celluloid.
So that's just me. What do you think? Who do you think's going to win?
Is it going to be The Brutalist, Honora, Conclave, or something else?
Click below in the comments section and let us know. I would love to hear what you have to say.